you can't explain it to somebody else, then you may not have fully absorbed it.
Yeah.
And I can imagine auditory stuff, if you're doing other things at the same time,
Oh yeah.
it's easy to get distracted. So not for anything too dense necessarily.
Right. I think that, all of this stuff is just more about being aware of how you, not only can absorb information, learn things, retain things, but also just how you react to something being challenging. It's humbling to do something or to read something that is not easy for you. Right. I find I'm reading a lot about this kind of behavioral psychology and a lot about this neuroscience, because I find it really interesting, the power we have over our brains, about how children have over their brains, about adults, how we can change ourselves. I'm totally nerding out. I'm like 3 books, but I still, if you quizzed me on a lot of the terminology, I would have a terrible time because it's not something I'm comfortable with, but I'm interested in it. So I'm going to keep trying. It's not my background. And so doing something where you're not really good at it, learning about something new, taking a class that you're not good at, take pottery. My business partner once did a pottery class and talked about how humbling it was to take a pottery class. If you've never done yoga before, try yoga. You might fall over, but there's a lot about your own mindset, about learning to be comfortable falling over. Because I can guarantee you, no matter how brilliant you are, law school will humble you at some point. And it's all about how you have the right mindset and have the experience to deal with that failure and that being humbled by some sort of experience, and how you get up and move on. And so that's the stuff you can practice even outside of like how to take notes for class. We have a course called Start Law School Right, which is all about kind of studying. And we talk about the importance of, mindset and how you, plan your time and make sure you're taking care of yourself. But I think getting ready as a whole person for this law school experience is something really good that you can do, for like a long-term year or so, while you're waiting for your law school applications to go in. You can practice, stress management while you're waiting for things. But there are a lot of opportunities to challenge yourself.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that more important than actually learning the legal material is learning how to study properly, and then also learning how to fail, learning to be humble.
Yeah, learn to stretch yourself. If you have to remember when you enter the law school system, or, that even if, let's say you rocked it in undergrad, you were at the top of your class, you were amazing, so you're like, I'm coming for you, law school, and you get to law school, but you also have to realize that like all those people who graduated from undergrad who enjoy school enough to go to graduate school, and they probably have similar skills than you do because they want to be lawyers, and lawyers typically have a lot in common. You're now part of a pool of people who have self-selected to take things like the LSAT and be successful at it, to, want to spend 3 years of their life studying, which a lot of people do not want to do. And then it's kind of like, okay, all of a sudden people are like, whoa, I'm not a big fish. Everybody's a big fish. Now what do I do? And I think that you have to be okay with that and decide how you're going to approach the new challenges and failures. Not to mention the fact that law school is set up to create these situations for some rockiness. A lot of people have a lot of anxiety about the Socratic method. That's where they cold call you in class. If you've ever watched, like The Paper Chase or read 1L, that's all, this old school idea of, calling on someone in the back of the room and they have to stand up. And this creates a lot of anxiety for people. And there's arguments about whether the Socratic method is the best way to teach. But the reality is, if you practice law, at some point, somebody is going to call on you, whether it be in a courtroom or in a client meeting, and you're going to have to come up with something to say. And you may not even be that comfortable with what you have to say, or you may feel like you're going to fail and sound really foolish. And then you have to figure out what to do with that. And that's just kind of the rite of passage. It's like, I have an embarrassing class experience. My business partner has embarrassing class experience. The only people who remember those experiences are us.
Right.
No one else. None of my friends in law school are like, I remember that time Lee sounded like a total idiot in criminal law. That was really like a turning point in her legal career. Nobody else is going to worry about that but you. So what are you going to do with that? And are you going to let that become something that, that causes more anxiety and makes it harder to study, things like that?
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.